Hi, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Emma and I'm an Amazon FBA seller. So I do this on a part-time basis, share my journey via this channel, and I do courses for beginners as well. Now, just recently we've been really heavily focused on Q4 and all the different things we need to think about, but a big part of Q4 is our prep work. Now, when it comes to prepping, it's really important that we adhere to all of Amazon's terms and conditions. And if we don't do this, it could cause issues with our account, it could cause issues with our stock levels as well. So today I want to go over that prepping with you. Make sure you're doing that prep work right, and make sure you're protecting your stock as best you possibly can. Now, at this time of year especially, when you're sending lots of shipments into Amazon, you cannot afford for that stock to get lost or damaged because you have not carried out the correct prep work. Now, as a very basic requirement, when you're prepping those items, you need to make sure you're covering all existing barcodes. So the only barcode that is actually shown on that product is your own. Now, this makes things much quicker, much easier when items are getting checked into Amazon's warehouse. If you leave multiple barcodes on that product, you're risking it going into your stranded inventory. Now, you also want to make sure you remove any sales labels, any clearance labels. You don't want that customer knowing the price you've paid. Now, if you have a label to remove, you find it's a little bit stubborn, you could use a hairdryer, just gently warm over, and it should lift quite easily. Failing that, get yourself some sticky stuff remover, give it a gentle wipe to remove any leftover residue. Now, when you're completing a shipment on Sales Central, you might find that Amazon actually have some specific prep requirements for you. So it might be that they want you to bubble wrap an item, they might want you to polybag it. This would definitely be the case for things like liquids, breakables, and toys where you can physically touch the item. Now, if you are using bubble wrap, you need to make sure it's wrapped nice and tight, nothing can fall out, and it can withstand a 3-foot drop. That label also needs to be on the outside of the packaging where it can be scanned really easily. Now, for those polybagged items, you need to make sure they've got a suffocation warning on if that opening is bigger than 5 inches. So this is just one of the many terms and conditions that you must adhere to. It is really, really important. Those bags should also be sealed and they need a barcode that's scannable through the bag or actually on the polybag itself. Now, another time you might want to polybag or bubble wrap a product is when you have a solder set item. Be sure that these are securely wrapped together and they have a label that says "Do not separate." You don't want to risk those items becoming separated and going into your stranded inventory. Now, you also need to be careful of any expiry dated products. So you need to make sure you put the expiry date in a nice clear format. So date, month, year on the outside of the product, and probably use a minimum of a 36-point font. Also make sure that product has enough time left on it for it to actually be sold within Amazon terms and conditions. The last thing you want is for Amazon to destroy that stock because you are not complying with them. Now, I have done a video that goes into this in a lot more detail, so I will pop a link below, but I would say go and take a look, just know exactly what you're dealing with. Now, when it comes to actually packaging those items, it's a good idea to just keep a note so you know exactly which ASINs are in which boxes. This just makes the whole process of completing the shipment so much easier. Now, the last thing you want to do is have to reopen all those boxes to see what's inside. Now, I normally just tape a piece of paper to the side of each box and I add to it as I go along, and then at the end I pop on the sizes and the weights of the box too. Now, I really would recommend you use double-walled boxes. So when you're sending that stock into Amazon, you need to think about the journey it's going to take. Now, chances are it's going to go on multiple different vans before it finally reaches Amazon's fulfillment centre. Now, if you're using single-walled boxes, there is a good chance that that stock could get damaged. Your boxes, the contents, need to be able to withstand a fall, and they need to be strong enough that other boxes can be stacked on top. If the boxes get crushed, the items get damaged, that will be on you. Amazon will not hold any responsibility for this, and they will not reimburse you either. It's definitely worth paying a little bit more, getting stronger boxes and protecting that stock as much as you can. Now, once you package those items, if you find there's a little bit of space in the box, things are rattling around, you need to pack this out. Again, just best protect that stock as much as you can. Now, I recommend probably using brown paper, just scrunch it up, use it to fill any voids. Now, you could use bubble wrap, but this could work out very expensive and you might get through it very, very fast. Just don't go using things like styrofoam, packing peanuts, shredded tissue. Amazon are very strict on what you can and can't use, and these are a definite no-no. Now, you then need to make sure these boxes are sealed properly to make sure nothing can come open during transit. Now, at the same time, don't go using too much tape because Amazon also hate this, and I have been told off for it in the past. They just want to be able to get into those boxes really quickly, really easily. Now, they also want to be able to scan the labels. So when you put the shipment labels on the boxes, do not put them over the seams. You don't want them to become unscannable once those boxes have been opened. Now, as for the size of the boxes, you cannot exceed 63.5 centimetres on any side, and you must not exceed 23 kilograms unless it's a single oversized item. Now, any boxes that are over 15 kilos must have a heavy package label on all 6 sides, and you must not shrink wrap any boxes together because this will really not go down well with Amazon. So the prepping rules are fairly simple, and there's not actually that much you can go too far wrong with. Just make sure you're covering all those barcodes, do the prepping exactly as Amazon asks, Add all those expiry dated labels and make sure you're packaging in a way that gives the best protection possible. Now I try and send as much stock in one shipment as I can just to bring that overall shipping cost down per unit, but what I would say, this time of year you cannot afford to be sitting on stock for too long. If you have stock ready to send into Amazon, send it in as soon as you possibly can. If you sit around, you wait, you could risk losing sales. So I hope that has helped. If you have any questions at all, please do let me know, or jump in our Facebook group. I'll pop a link to this below. There's lots of great advice, lots of great support in there, so it's always worth just jumping in, asking any questions you might have. But that is all for today, so thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.